Thanks so much for agreeing to, talk a little bit more about your Praxis experience. I know people, are always asking who is Praxis for, what are the success stories? I wanted to just get, I wanted to get your point of view, and I wanted to hear, what were you doing before Praxis, what the experience was like, what you've been doing since Praxis. And I think that that's always just the best place to start. What are you doing today?
Well, if you would have asked me on Monday, I would have said something slightly different than today. But right now, I work at a real estate brokerage and property management company. I'm on the property management side. It's called Burgo, really. And I run their Airbnbs, or their short-term rentals. As of this week, we're transitioning from Airbnbs to monthly furnished rentals, just because
Mhm.
of the pandemic and some bans around travel. It's a little bit tricky to navigate, but I would say I'm a property manager, but also like hospitality meets tech meets support. It's a small portfolio, so I hop on marketing meetings, and I was a leasing agent for a while. It's just kind of whatever the company needs. I'm there to support them.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
I started my Praxis apprenticeship in January of 2019. And then I took over the short-term rentals in April, like a couple months later. And then I graduated from the program and accepted the full-time job offer in July. And I've been there ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just over a year, or,
Yeah.
almost a year and a half now, I guess you've been at the company or whatever.
Yeah, it depends on, I actually have 2 anniversaries, so
Yeah.
no big deal.
How has it been?
It's been challenging, but it's been great. Um, I I actually wanted to do this job like when I graduated high school, and then I took what I thought was a detour and changed majors and did Praxis as a gap year, and then started as general support,
Mhm.
like for more marketing sales, and then found out that they have Airbnbs and they do short-term rentals, and I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to do before all this. And they're like, oh, really? Because nobody else is crazy enough to want to do this. Like, if you want to do this, then you can. So it just kind of happened.
Kind of all fell into place.
Yeah.
So what about before Praxis? Before your apprenticeship, before graduating, before even starting the program, where were you at in life?
I was very undecided. So I graduated from high school and I was planning on going to one university. My loan for that university, like my dream school, their program is beautiful for what I wanted. The loan for my freshman year would have been about the same as my parents' loan for the house I grew up in.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, so I tried to get some scholarships and worked, XYZ, had, this grade, that grade. I think I was like top of my class, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really mean anything. Didn't really matter. So anyway, I was planning on going there until like 2 or 3 weeks before school started. And I went out to take out my personal loans, and I just started like bawling. I'm like, I can't do this. Like these aren't just numbers. Like, I'm gonna have to pay this back. I can't do this in good conscience. So I went to a local state school near me that's much, much cheaper. And I was there for maybe like half a semester, and the program wasn't exactly what I wanted. Like I said, I wanted a little bit more business. That's what the other school had. And so I switched into the business school. I was interested in human resources. I started in hospitality, then I switched
Okay.
to human resources. I was planning on double majoring. And I just didn't feel at home, and I didn't know like what I wanted to do still exactly. And it's like, well, I should just get experience in this first. So I decided, so I was a semester ahead in college because I dual enrolled and took AP classes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a semester off. I'm going to take the spring off. I'm going to work in whatever I think I want to do, get experience. And then if I like it, then I'll go back to school for it. And if I don't, then, we'll reassess. And that same week, my cousin introduced me to Praxis.
That's awesome.
I was very, very, very skeptical, but obviously I ended up doing it.
Yeah. So what was kind of that decision-making process whenever you decided to drop out? Was that something that you got a lot of grief from, or was it like you felt a lot of pressure making that decision, or did you have a lot of support? What was that like?
It depends who you ask. I was paying my way through college. It was my loans and my money. So pretty much I didn't get a lot of crap for it. I mean, the biggest question was like, when are you going to go back? what are you going to do? Like, blah, blah, blah. But it's people that they care about you. You know, it's
Yeah,
not, I have very supportive friends and family, and yeah, they'll tell you what they think, but it's because they love you and they want what's best for you.
absolutely.
So I decided to in my in my mind, I was deferring enrollment and I was planning on going back. Um, I consider myself a dropout now, but I decided to do that before I started Praxis. So it was kind of separate. And my parents were, you know, my mom was like, okay, like as long as you prayed about it, then like it's your money. And my dad was like, well, then you better work extra hard and you better get your butt back in school eventually. And you blah, blah, blah. And like my grandfather didn't talk to me for probably, he didn't talk to me whenever I told him I was doing hospitality. He's a
Yep.
very like law or medicine kind of person. So obviously he was upset whenever I dropped out, but it's like they care about me and I understand where they're coming from. So it doesn't really matter. I had a lot of family that thought it was awesome. My cousin that introduced me to Praxis thought it was the best decision of my whole life. So it's a lot of mixed reviews, but I was pretty confident in myself. And it's super low risk. It's like, okay, what's one semester? What's 1 year? What's no debt? Like what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah. 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 So now looking back on your experience, was it worth it?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you feel like were some of the biggest tangible things that you walked away from the program with?
Well, I'm not going to act like Praxis is some like profound business school that can teach you what a university teaches you in 4 years, all in 6 months. Like that's not really what it is, and it's not like it equips you with every single thing that you need to know to be a successful business employee. um, you know, like I still didn't quite know how to make like a business plan or what, you know, everything was, or like you
Yeah.
can't expect students to know that in 6 months. And I know that this isn't tangible, so this isn't answering your question, but for me the biggest shift was just a mindset shift. Like, so I'm in the minority of Praxis that loves school. Like I'm not the kid who had like CEO of me on his Facebook profile and like, you know, was gonna stick it to the man. Like I love textbooks, I like grades, I like rubrics and validation and people patting me on the head and telling me that I'm doing a good job. Like I very much like traditional schooling,
Yeah.
which is interesting for a Praxis participant. But I needed that mindset shift of like people aren't going to tell you exactly what to do, and like you need to learn how to make decisions, and you need to learn that learning isn't about you, and it's not about liking it, and it's not about doing dumb projects that you're going to throw away. It's about contributing to the community right where you are and not waiting until your education is over, and then somehow there's this like gleaming bridge to an amazing career that somebody like forges for you by giving you a diploma. It's like, no, like there are stepping stones and you gotta like get in there and you just have to go for it, which is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. How did you make that transition, going out into your first, kind of professional job?
Well, I feel like at first I was waiting a good bit. Like, so just for an example, the company switched to a property management software. And so I got in, they had just switched to it. And I was just kind of like, okay, like when are they going to train me on how to use this new software? Like, when are they going to show me like how to do it and like what success looks like in this role? And it took like weeks until they were finally just like we just started this, like we don't know exactly what we're doing, like we didn't hire you to tell you what to do, like we hire capable people so that they can inform us on what to do and we can work together. And so then it was just like, oh, like I have to learn, like I had to teach myself this, like I had to go on their support center and I was watching tutorials and setting up calls with our rep and all this stuff. So the transition at first was difficult because yeah, it's like they give you a project and it's like they don't give you a, oh, here's an A grade of doing this project, here's a B grade. It's like, no, this is a task that we need completed, and like we need you to do the project. And school didn't teach me project management at
Yeah.
all. So it was a little bit tricky to navigate, but overall it was amazing, mostly just because the company I work at is phenomenal and it's just great people and great support. So, you know, I'm sure everybody has different experiences, and I'm just blessed with a really great company and really great employers.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel like you've grown since then? Like when you're first starting out over the past, year and a half?
Wow. I'd like to think that I've grown a lot. Um, I've, there's so many things I'm trying to pick one. One important step is, instead of like, oh, this thing's broken, what do I do? Manager, what do I do? Instead, just like calm down, which is important for me. And assess the situation, like, okay, here are possible solutions that we could do. I think this one is best. What might that look like? And then going to management and saying, hey, we have this issue. I've thought through it. Maybe we can do that, but I'm looking for suggestions. Do you have advice?
Yeah.
Like after you do the legwork, like, and just stop being needy. I hope that I'm less needy. I feel like I was a very needy employee at the
Yeah.
beginning, but I think I've grown in that regard. And just making decisions. I'm very indecisive, and it's like, oh, like, who am I to change rates on a property, or who am I to shift cleaners, or you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, this is my job. Okay, that's who I am. Like, I'm a person in this role that needs to make decisions.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how do you think about your career now? Like, as you look toward the future, how do you think
Mhm.
about your career? How do you define success?
I still don't know what I want to do long term.
Yeah.
This was my, it put me in a dilemma because this was my dream job. Like, why I chose the first university that I was going to go to was because I sat in on an introduction to leisure and tourism, and they talked about Airbnb. And I'm like, okay, that company's it. Like, they're disrupting the market. I want to be in there. Like, that's what I want to do. And then I ended up somehow, by the grace of God, like getting this job, which is exactly what I thought I wanted. And now it's like, oh, it's challenging. And this is actually what it looks like. Do I want to do this long term? I don't know. Am I like, now I'm shifting into property management because of the pandemic? And it's just like, I don't know. But what I do know is that I don't have to pick one career path. Like when I was in high school and even in college, I thought, I was like, okay, I'm going to school to be an accountant. That means that I'm on this path, and I have to like be on this path, and I have to figure out what that looks like for the next 10 years so that I can get to this one destination that I pick out when I'm 18. Or like, I don't know, maybe I want to be a hematologist. I went through that. I'm like, okay, and then I'm going to go this path. And then I'm picking like these paths that's like decades of my life. But now that I'm in business, and especially in startups, it's like, no, like, take the pressure off of myself. I'm not looking at career paths like my parents that have been doing, they're nurses, they're incredible, and they've been doing the pretty much the same thing for like 30, 40 years, which is awesome, like, great for them. Do I want to do that? I don't think so. Like, I like a lot of different things, and I'm indecisive, and I'm bouncing around, and culture is changing and careers are changing. And I think there's a big gap between employers. I mean, I can see it like when I help out with recruiting, it's like, we need all of this great talent. And then all the talent is like, we need great jobs. And they're just like not fitting each other. So I don't know the answer yet. And I don't know how I fit into it. But yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I'm 21 years old, but I'm confident that like whatever the next step is, I can get to it. And I don't have to be on one path that somebody chooses for me. Like, I'm going to figure myself out more, and I'm going to take it one step at a time, and I'll build a career just by, like, I don't know, working hard, as that sounds super like cliche, but it's true.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. That's an awesome answer, and it's awesome mindset to have. Well, any other general thoughts that you'd like to share about your Praxis experience before, during, as an alumni?
I'll just say, in case this is being recorded for people who are like, oh, do I want to do this? Do I not? I was the person that went on like the Facebook page and the website and everything, and I read every single review, and I contacted every single person that reviewed Praxis negatively and some positively. Like, I stalked their Facebooks, I talked with them, I read every single post that Praxis had ever put out. I like stalked Isaac Morehouse and Derek McGill, all of the staff, like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? And it was legit. So for all the people who are like, oh, is this legit? I don't know. It's like, I went through all that trouble and did this whole thing so that I can say, yes, this is legit. They don't, like, Praxis doesn't hand you like this some golden key that like gets you a great job and gets you this, but like, they give you tools so that you can do that yourself, and they like give you a mindset that enables you to put in the work and to set your own path.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate the time you've taken today, and thanks for sharing your honest, candid opinion.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.